meeting. This is the Police Commission meeting for July 17th, 2024. First item on the agenda is to approve the minutes from the previous meeting on June 20th. Any additions or corrections?
None
I
here.
didn't have any either. All those in favor, motion to approve?
Motion.
Second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All right, those are good. Second item is monthly reports. Chief, monthly reports, please.
Sure, I'll go through these kind of quickly. The budget report is the final one for FY 23-24. Finished out the year slightly over budget as anticipated with our overtime expenses. We were at 102. Yep. Hopefully we'll get that under control for next year a little bit better, and in the future years. Animal control is also on target and was on target, so nothing significant to report, but those should be closing out. We have a few more expenses and make a few more days of salary to calculate for, but that should be closed out before the next meeting.
Okay. And we have 3 additional hires as well, so that should help a little bit on overtime.
Yeah, and you'll see in the staffing report.
Yep.
Jump to that. For the month of June, we worked at minimum shift almost 80% of the time. You know, lots of vacations, some people are out, but you know, that's significantly impacting things. We're working at minimum shift all the time. Monthly statistics. You can see our location checks are nearly double what they were last year at this time. Proactive patrols through our parks and schools and areas like that. However, another statistic, stolen vehicles is up significantly. 23 this year to date, as opposed to last year, it was at 7. And additionally, vandalism complaints has gone up quite a bit, 46 year to date this year, 12 last year, and that's a lot largely due to the graffiti incidents that we've been having around town. So Officer Vertulli is actively pursuing those. That's all I have for monthly reports.
Topics for discussion. Conrad Road traffic calming. All right, who wants to present the survey results?
Stand by. So we ran the survey for, how many days was it? Almost 2 weeks.
Yeah. Yep.
And we had total of 28 responses out of 50 that could respond. We surveyed not only Conrad Road, but residents from Whiffletree and Gertie's Road. And you can see the breakdown by street in the chart being displayed, and also the grand totals. In order to take action on any significant item, we generally look for 67% in favor. We did not reach that for anything other than the stop signs. Stop signs, 21 were in favor, 7 were opposed. And that's the stop sign design of making a more sharper angle, making it a 3-way stop. So that's approximately 75% were in favor of that. Everything else was significantly lower than that. The roundabout only had about 32% in favor. Speed humps was about 39% in favor. Edge lines, double yellow lines, and or both double edge and edge lines in double yellow were both 17% or less.
Right, double yellow was 0 to 28.
Yes, so
that's-
nobody wants that. That's
So I guess we'll
clear.
have to,
We have a mandate on that, that's for sure.
that's easy.
Um,
Okay,
So with that, we could have some more discussion on where we want to go. It seems clear that the overwhelming support was for making it a three-way stop. And that would be my recommendation.
okay. Tiger, any comments on that and going back to tightening up that intersection? If we vote that way
No,
to a three-way tie?
no,
Could
if
that
you,
be done fairly quickly?
the chief and I spoke about that, and I spoke to, Greg Del Rio from Hardesty in Hanover, stating that, that I wanted him to be able to come to a final design quickly so that we could have implementation prior to the school year. The chief told me that I'm gonna suffer a speeding ticket every day unless I get it done by September. He's joking, but yeah, we're gonna get that done by September. Yeah,
If we vote that way.
right. If you vote that
Yeah, if we
way.
vote that way.
And it may not be the actual final hardscape, but the painted design of the
Right.
what's intended, and then
And then
hardscape.
Yeah, the
more,
thought is to actually,
finalize it.
to do that is to stripe it first so everyone can see how it is and then work through it. And if we need to tweak it, we can tweak the design and then go in for the hardscape after, instead of going in and putting in the hardscape and then realizing we need to tweak the design, either make it sharper or what have you. Thought was that we can come in with a edge stripe, not edge striping, I'll call it white striping, to define each corner and each stop sign.
Okay.
Then we can do that. And then while we're working towards the final bid number with the contractor, with a contractor, to then come in. And then the overall construction and work is relatively minimal. Hardest part is putting in they had some protective corners where we've got some like cobblestone or Belgian block that's kind of gives you the defined edge, but allows if a truck needs that extra area to travel on, that's the hardest part. The rest of it is quite simple to tighten up.
Okay, thank you. Any comments from the public, please?
Eric Tunham. Eric Tunham, 134 Gertie's Road. My understanding was that whatever decision the police commission made in terms of an implementation plan, that would require 2/3 of the affected residents' approval. I never understood that whatever came out as the majority, as long as that had 2/3, that would be affected. My understanding is, and correct me if I'm wrong, that this is what I was told by Department of Public Works and others. When you decide on what you're going to do, 2/3 of the affected citizens must be in agreement. So-
I understand.
But they are.
They are in agreement.
But they are in agreement if we vote for the stop signs.
Well, some of those 21 who voted for the stop signs, that's just people who voted for the stop signs. You've got 9, 11, that's 20, 24. You got 29 other people who didn't vote for stop signs. If you
The
put to
survey
all the-
allowed you to vote in favor
Oh,
of multiple items, and they were not mutually exclusive, so you could have been in favor for speed humps and the stop signs, but they were not exclusive of one or the other.
I'm just pointing out that if you want to be perfectly clear with what my understanding was, and some others may have the same understanding, that once you decide stop signs are the way to go, you should seek 2/3 approval of the affected citizens, ignoring the other possibilities. That was my understanding.
That's not my understanding of how it would work. What we wanted to have is the input from those affected, and then that would help guide us on our vote.
I understand
what you're saying. Yeah. Thank you. Any other comments?
Bart Cod, 28 Conrad. Tiger, I'm sure you're familiar with these, like, on a temporary measure, if you're looking to kind of narrow the intersection, these kind of things that get bolted into the pavement, right? These.
We've seen them. We've used them actually.
Yeah. So I
Kids
saw
love
them down
them.
in Stanford in a very similar intersection to ours, where they kind of narrowed the intersection.
Thank you.
My question to Tiger is that if the decision is made for stop signs, does it completely exclude speed bumps? Because one of them pumps would be directly in front of my house, which I would be in favor of, and a neighbor across the street is also in favor of, so that, and, you know, putting stop signs down there, if that's the decision, would definitely slow the cars coming each way, you know, down at that intersection, so the need for speed bumps down there is, you know, kind of negligible, but at our end of the street, that's where the speed is, both directions. So I'm just kind of curious if that would completely rule that out.
I think in the vote tonight, that would rule that out.
Okay.
Public Works, Fire, Police are against or opposed to speed bumps. We have none of them in town. And it didn't sort of reach that critical number from the residents to want them, because a number of people don't want them as well. Unfortunately for you, and I understand what your thoughts are. Thank you. Anybody else? Yes, in the back. Hi.
I'm Heather from Gertie's Road. I'm just confused. I missed the other meetings. Is the Conrad problem traffic or endangering or just annoyance? Like, I'm
We've
kinda
had a lot of
confused. I'm on
meetings
Gertie's
about this.
and we are endangered. Since Chief Leon 2020, I've been texting, emailing him about problems from White Oak Shade to Gertie's. The stop sign there is atrocious. My daughter almost got hit by a car. He ended up getting 3 citations in 1 ticket because see, this is my problem. Conrad only gets, sorry, I've never spoke up here before.
That's fine.
Conrad only gets problems from traffic on the Merritt going southbound. Gertie's gets problems with traffic backed up on the Merritt south and north. So we get traffic built up way past our house. And I'm the only one on this side of the road that has to cross the street with my child. So it's so dangerous that I've actually held her jacket. She's 12 and cannot cross the street alone to go to the school bus. So I was just curious, is this like an annoyance? Because I've lived here since 1991. I've never been like on Conrad going, oh my God, look at all this traffic, like Church Street or other streets that are horrible. So I'm just curious, with all this spotlight on Conrad, what is the actual, is it annoyance? Is it a danger? Is it, because I'll let my daughter walk on Conrad, but not on Gertie's. So I'm kind of confused why there's so much.
It's been a problem of traffic going southbound on the Merritt that gets off.
Yeah. And
Gets
it's
on,
from the Merritt. It's not
it's-
from town. It's not from
Right.
anything. It all stems from the Merritt. We cannot fix the Merritt Parkway.
right. Although hopefully, possibly, as the Merritt gets fixed and
It'll
the
loosen up.
construction is, finished,
So Gertie's will be better and then Conrad will be better.
right. But what we've had the problem of, that Gertie's gets backed up and then Conrad gets backed up and then Whiffle Tree gets backed up. So
Sure.
it's a problem from all that traffic coming
Sure.
from the north to the
And the
south.
problem comes from Nursery going down
Right, and we,
to
well,
White
I-
Oak Shade, going to Gertie's, or going over the bridge,
It's-
which nobody stops at that stop sign, because I've actually called the New Canaan Police Department and said, I just almost got taken out with my child in the car because people say they don't see that stop sign there. But if we put like a solar powered light up stop sign there, they have no excuse. There's something flashing when a car comes. Because every day I'm in the middle of the road before I turn to take my daughter to camp or to go to work.
So
Is
the
it
intent,
endangered or
well, the
annoyance?
intent of all this was not to solve every
Every-
traffic
yeah,
problem
but
throughout
the
town.
problem is
We recognize
from
that Gertie's
Conrad
has,
problem.
we recognize that there's continuing problems on Gertie's and Nursery and numerous other roads throughout town. This was specifically to address the
Conrad.
situation that was occurring on Conrad, leading out into Gertie's Road.
If you
The
have
other end of
Gertie's,
Gertie's
you'll have
Road
Conrad.
was also affected on this from the traffic light and the backup. So it's a it's a problem that's affecting the area, but we understand that there's multiple other problems that we are continuing to address.
Sure. I was just wanting to clarify, is it an annoyance? Is that what?
Well, it's
It's
also
not
speed,
about-
and it's also speed in the afternoon coming from South Avenue.
Actually, they're
East-
speeding
east.
all over town.
Right, they're speeding all over that.
I own a hair
Fortunate-
salon in town. I've had 3 successful hair salons and I hear people complain all the day about their streets, about everything, and we can't fix every street. That's why I'm so baffled to why I'm on Conrad every single day and I never felt like, wow, look at all this traffic, or wow, look at this.
Okay,
Just,
but we've been on this for a number of
I
months.
know, I
And
know.
you're
I've
coming
been
in new
watching.
to
I
this.
just haven't been able to come, so
Okay, thank you,
Gertie,
But thank
Gertie
you.
Road is a mess. I just want to point that out.
thank you. All right, so we need a vote. We need a vote. We Need a motion for a vote. The motion would be to provide,
Have Public Works.
yeah, how Public Works is to clean up, to rectify the 3-way stop signs,
To
implement what.
implement the
HOH
Hardesty and Hanover
plan
design of a three-way stop.
Got that? Tiger, you're with us
Yes.
on that, okay?
Yeah.
Okay, you're in favor of that motion?
I am.
All right, second that motion?
I second that motion.
All those in favor of that motion?
All right.
All right. So that's the route we're gonna go for now, right? Okay, all right, we've got, everybody's got marching orders, we know what to do.
Yes.
Yeah, we'll talk to Hardesty in Hanover tomorrow. Actually, Veronica is on, so she's part of
Okay.
that team.
Okay,
And then set them on their path. We had already given them advance notice, of that they needed to react quickly. So we'll have an implementation, either a temporary implementation or a permanent implementation before school
Right.
begins.
okay, and then when would it go out to bid? Once you,
So I need to have the final plan from them and I can go out to bid. The striping itself, we almost can handle in-house.
Yeah.
So I can do that in-house. And then the permanent would go out to bid once I have the final plan. According to Greg Del Rio, the plan was quick to forthcome.
we pretty much have it.
Right, we pretty much have it. So he's
Previous-
pretty much has to put his name on it and send it to me and I can send it out to bid. So if that happens by the end of this week, it'll go out to bid next week. We try to go out every Thursday, so
Okay,
it'll be either this coming Thursday or the following Thursday.
got it. All right, thank you.
No problem.
Well, let me just ask, how then, once that gets done, can that be put on the Waze? Can you guys do something about that? To make those adjustments on maps, on virtual maps, so that maybe are slower often, so that
We don't have any control over that software. We can see it's usually crowdsourced or they're pretty quick to adapt to.
So it's interesting, over the summer, I was traveling to Darien and I would see a roundabout in where we were proposing one. I'm wondering who did that, if not you guys.
No,
Okay.
Sorry, what was that?
Wait.
Ways.
Oh,
Ways, yeah.
We didn't do that.
no. Okay, next time.
Just.
Yep,
Can I just say something?
Yes, you can.
Okay. I know the speed humps only got 39% of the vote, but I also think that, as much as we love the stop signs, and I did vote for it, and I think the numbers show that people want it, but I think it doesn't solve the problem of the speed on Conrad. So it might be that maybe later on, just for the record too, that we might look at speed humps, that if there is speeding on Conrad, just throwing
We're
it out
certainly
there.
going to evaluate the
Yeah.
effectiveness of
Yeah.
the actions that we take. And we could always revisit.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It
other options.
doesn't necessarily, I know it said over here, 3 speed humps. It doesn't necessarily need to be 3, but if just
Right.
something maybe at the upper part of the road, then maybe one a little bit lower, towards,
Yeah,
towards Whiffle
and we've tried
Tree,
those,
it might be something to,
and we've tried those strips where we cut out the.
We've tried the rumble strips.
And
before.
everybody hated them.
We were successful on one and then the other ones we were unsuccessful
Yeah.
on. That's correct. So we had to remove
They
them
were
all.
just too noisy. You
Right.
just heard every single car that went by.
Right, yeah.
All day and night. So that didn't work out so well.
We did have one successful implementation. That was at the corner of White Oak Shade. Yeah, that was the first one we did. And then we
it's put out.
We put out
more,
others and we should have stayed
Stayed
with
at
the
point, okay.
one and done. That's correct. And they didn't work. But yeah, Shakeba, to your point, the, we'll implement this and then if there's a continued problem, you know, I'm sure Andrew and the chief will be monitoring that. And then we can come back and take another look. We have all the data, we have all the engineering data we need. Right
Yeah.
now, it just comes down to whether or not what we do first is successful or not. And normally for every traffic calming area, we try to start small and then work big.
Yep.
So
Thank you.
speed humps would be big, probably the biggest thing we've done, right? So everything else, edge line striping, center line striping, some additional enforcement, narrowing the road, putting the stop signs in, those are all as you get along the scale up to the larger point. So I think that, you know, to your point, we'll take a look and see, and hopefully
Yeah.
what this does satisfies it. This combined with working with the traffic light at 124 and Gertie's, that's that to me is another huge point, because we can push more people through that traffic light to get on the
Faster,
Merritt
right.
faster.
Yeah.
Then we're going to reduce that volume on Gertie's and on Conrad, that long-standing volume. We just need to get an audience with the state. You guys voted, the commission voted last month to write a letter.
Right.
We're hoping that has some merit at that point, you know, that it takes weight with the DOT, and then we get to sit, you know, with them.
Right.
Eric?
Thank
Yeah, just one more question. Does the implementation of the 3 stop signs include a narrowing of the road? I mean, Tiger, you're talking about.
Yes.
Contract. So specifically, what is involved beyond planting 3 stop?
It's in the design that was shared, so if you look at that, that'll give you the detail of it.
Yeah, it's on there. Yeah. It does tighten it up, because right now it's
Yeah.
it's so wide.
Understood.
It's so wide there now that it just opens it up
I'll
to,
go back.
and if there's the officers will come back to this, and if there's a specific time of day where there is speeding, like high school gets out, okay, we can, you know, we can try to address that as well. And it's usually the same 2 or 3 or 5 kids.
Thank you for taking time.
Next topic is Silvermine Road, Carter Street.
Sorry.
Silvermine Road, Carter Street, this is this plan.
That's correct.
This plan, yes. Silvermine Road, Carter Street.
We had a tree fall on a house, so I was trying to text with the person and
Oh, yeah, where was that?
the captain just sent Main Street. Everybody's fine, but we just want to make sure that everybody's fine.
Okay.
So
I'm gonna,
Conrad Carter, I have Veronica Prezioso from Hardesty in Hanover on Zoom with us. Unfortunately, she came down with COVID today, or she'd be sitting next to me, but I prefer her to be on the screen. So she's going to walk you through where we stand on Carter and Canoe, 106 Carter and Canoe, and then give you a little bit of time frame, next steps, and then we can take questions, or we can take questions throughout. But Veronica, it's all you.
Hey, Veronica.
Can you guys hear me?
Hey, Veronica, now we can see you. I hope you're feeling okay.
Thank you. I was going to share my screen, but it looks like you're doing that for me. Thank you. So today I just wanted to walk you guys through a little bit of the background on the State Route 106 Silvermine, Carter and Canoe Hill Road intersection. I know that's a mouthful in and of itself. As many of you may know, it's a bit of an offset skewed intersection today with horizontal curvature from the east that really limits sight distance when exiting Carter Street or when coming from the east along Silvermine Road, really causing some safety concerns and operational issues out there today. So we've looked at a couple solutions, and I will share them with you as we get into it. So in 2021, we analyzed the area. We did counts at the intersection in October and determined the peak hours. They were typical, just like any typical commuter peak hour in a residential area. There were 8 crashes, which is pretty high for a less than 3-year period from January 2018 to November 2021. And this speed study that was conducted will pretty much highlight to you exactly the safety concern that we are mentioning here. So if you look so the posted speed limit eastbound and westbound on Silvermine are slightly different. Eastbound it's 30 and westbound it's 25. But if you look at the 85th percentile speed, so the speed that 85% of vehicles travel around, it's 39 eastbound and 43 westbound, which is a pretty high discrepancy between the posted speed and what people are actually doing out there. And so in order to mitigate this, we've looked at a couple short-term and long-term improvements. I think at this point, we've decided we're going to go right to the long-term improvement, which is the offset T-type of 2 intersections right next to each other. However, but I'll give you the background on the short-term improvement that we were considering. So as I mentioned before, these are just the existing conditions. This is looking from Carter Street eastbound along Silvermine. As you can see, it's the offset intersection that I was mentioning, and the horizontal curvature of Route 106, as you can see here, is pretty poor. You can't really see too far around the bend there. So if you can imagine, if cars are speeding coming from that direction and someone's trying to exit Carter, it could cause some safety and operational concerns. So we're trying to mitigate that as best as possible. So moving along to the short-term improvement, this was the initial one that we looked at, and this was just limiting Carter Street to right turns only. That helps with intersection sight distance, because then you really only have to look to the left over your left shoulder, and that is a little bit better. We also we're proposing to relocate the stop bar from Canoe Hill just to help square up the intersection a little bit better. And we did provide this conceptual plan to DOT, and they didn't have any major objections to the improvements. They just had some minor comments that we could easily incorporate. And then they just mentioned that, as is typical with any improvements in the state right of way, we would need to obtain an encroachment permit. So moving along, we also briefly looked at this alternate improvement, and as you can see, the roundabout is a significant right of way encroachment into that property in the northwest corner. So obviously that's not ideal, and it also requires major modifications to not only all 4 legs of the intersection, but also 2, maybe 3 residential driveways right at that intersection as well. So that's a pretty substantial difference. And then moving along to the long-term improvement, this is the one that we'll spend the most time on, and what we've really developed at this point. These are the 2 offset T-type intersections. So while they're still pretty close together, they do allow some room in between for what we call 2-stage movements when traveling through between the intersections. Because before, the way that it was aligned, you could kind of dart across the intersection, which didn't allow for great safety, again, because of the speeding. So now you have to get into the lane before you can actually make a left turn onto Canoe Hill Road, which is a little bit better. It actually separates the 2 intersections and relocates the stop bar, so you're actually out in the intersection a little bit further while still maintaining your safety. And then also, just to help mitigate it even further, we have suggested the 2 shaded areas on the southeast corner and the southwest corner to just be the vegetation be trimmed back and maintained periodically throughout the year to even better enhance the sight distance in either direction. So as I mentioned before, this is just a summary of the findings. So the existing condition is that offset skewed 4-legged intersection. There's a lot of speeding out there today and horizontal curvature, which causes sight distance concerns. We looked at a short-term improvement, which would have been a temporary condition, which we didn't actually end up moving forward with, which would have just limited Carter Street to right turns only and located the stop bar on Canoe Hill Road. We also looked at that alternate roundabout concept, which we've since eliminated due to the significant right of way that would be needed. And then we've sort of settled on this long-term improvement offset to T-type intersections to really separate it into two intersections and hopefully mitigate the safety a little bit better. And in addition to that, we would also recommend trimming back and maintaining that vegetation and realigning the stop bars a little bit better. So that's where we stand today. And then I think my last slide is just next steps on where we would like to go in the future. I think the major thing that we need next is a survey of the intersection just to get really the grades and everything, the utilities and everything that's out there today. And then next, we really just need to schedule that kickoff meeting with DOT to really present the long-term improvement plan to them because they haven't seen it at this point. And then once we've had that conversation and they're on board with it, then we can really develop and formalize those construction documents and apply for the permit that will be needed. So that's a summary of the background on what we've done to date and where we plan to go moving forward. So if you have any questions.
I do have a question. Why wasn't, I know the state DOT would be significantly opposed to it, but why not at least have one of our suggestions, a stop sign westbound on Silvermine on coming into town? That would solve probably 90% of the problems with the zero construction.
Westbound on Silvermine, you said? That's a good point. I don't know that we've actually looked into that in terms of the volumes. I would have to see if it would warrant an all-white, almost all-white stop condition.
Yeah, it would be a three-way stop.
Yep.
The only thing that wouldn't have would be eastbound on 106.
Correct. Yeah, I would have to look at that. That's a good thought, though.
It would be a cheaper solution too, right away. Just
I saw them out there tonight.
throw it up there, tonight, right, with a
I
line.
know we looked at the hallway and they said no,
Yeah, we did that
No
years
way.
ago. Right.
multiple times.
Right.
And they said, no, it's traffic light, no, all-way, no. But we never asked them, to the chief's point, for a three-way with free flow traffic coming off of eastbound. So we can certainly look at that. That's a good comment. We can look at that as well.
Yeah, and the only other thing that I would note with that is we would probably have to add a couple additional signs in advance just
Yeah,
to
of course.
because of curvature, but yes, that's certainly doable. We would definitely look at that.
With flashing lights. With flashing lights and all the appropriate warning signs.
Mhm.
That could be done tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah,
It costs
yeah.
about $30. Well, $300. Okay, so we don't have to, we're not voting on anything tonight. This is just
Just an update, tell you where we were, where we were proceeding, but it's good commentary from the chief. So we'll have Veronica and her crew staff look at that alternative. And then we're gonna set up a kickoff meeting with the state regardless, and we can actually bring that up also during it, so we can show, almost two alternatives at that point, and then go forward. And then once we'll have either positive traction on the three-way stop or we won't. And if we do, then we'll come back and visit the commission. If we don't, we're going to continue with the offset intersection, get the survey done, and then have them finalize design, come back here for you to review it, because you have to endorse it to go back to the state. So we'll need a letter at that point in time to go back to the state to say the LTA endorses this alternative, and then work through the encroachment permit process with them. So but at least, we have, I guess, two steps going forward. I got to finalize the design. We got to kick off the meeting with the DOT. And at that point in time, we'll have even further direction at that point as to where we're headed.
good. Are most of the accidents in somebody coming out of Carter and then going up Canoe? And the car hitting them is coming around the corner westbound? I would think that's where it is.
It's a mix.
Yeah.
It's so a mix, so.
The last one I thought was somebody coming down Canoe, and then got hit. He got hit from somebody on 106, right?
Going which way, or doesn't matter.
I'll have to double check that because it was a while ago that I looked at that data, but I believe that was the majority of the type of accidents. Those right angles due to the lack of sight distance and the speeding.
Speeding, yeah,
Well, there's the market difference, 43 to 25. It's a market
double,
difference,
almost double.
Right.
And that's average too, right? Not,
85th percentile.
Yeah.
So yeah, but yeah, so at that point, like I said, we'll finalize it as the survey kickoff with the DOT, the chief and the deputy chief and the captain will be at that meeting. And then we can report back what their findings were specifically on this additional stop sign. And then just, give you an interim report that we're going to be headed back, on the design.
very good. All right, thank you. Officer Maury, probationary period complete.
Yes, she's completed her probationary period.
Yep.
She's moved on successfully. She's still a young officer. Obviously has a lot to learn, but she's performing well. She's doing a lot of good work for us. She remains active, and we have no issues that are raising any concerns of why not to take her off of probationary status.
Okay, so you need a motion to take Officer Maury off probation. Second it,
Second.
and she would then be full-time,
Yes, well, she's full-time, but
She's
she would be
full-time, off probation. Okay. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
That's unanimous. Okay. Police building renovation update?
No real update. Moving along as planned. We had a building meeting last week. Everything's status quo, on time, on budget.
Yep.
Everything's moving along.
Yeah, steel's going up in the back. and
Yeah.
That's where the focus is now.
Yes.
It's just a lot quicker.
So they're just
Fun
in
process.
full construction mode.
State Department unit citation.
Is a.
Yep.
Memorandum I received from Lieutenant Ferraro to, and Sergeant Callahan. To Lieutenant Ferraro, Sergeant Callahan, Officer Pollock, Marzano, Rizzatelli, CC, Rienzi, and Castro. They were all working during the 3 to 11 shift on May 24th. It was an exceptionally busy shift. They had a situation with a unknown male going through a mental health crisis. He had entered a residence, and the homeowner called us, and the officers responded. Were able to de-escalate, take the person into custody. About the same time, they had a report of a juvenile with an airsoft gun, which raised a lot of concerns. They quickly responded to that and managed that situation. And then additionally, there was a report of a person violating a protective order, and they took necessary steps to protect the victim, and they all performed very, very well that evening, and a very busy evening, but they did a great job.
Good to see. Thank you. Notes of appreciation.
Then we also got an email from Lieutenant Ferraro, who received a phone call from a victim of a stolen vehicle. Said that the officers that responded, Officer Rienzi and Officer Castro, were very professional, understanding, and calming, and extremely reassuring, which he appreciated during the difficult time of the incident for him. So we're glad to see that our officers are always responding professionally and courteously, and
Right.
When dealing with these sorts of calls.
Great. Thank you. Any other new business from the audience, please?
Yeah, hi, I'm Tim Anderson, 49 Great Hill Road.
Hi, Tim.
I don't think I need it, I think, okay. Thank you. So.
And your address again?
I want
I'm
to
sorry.
thank Tim Anderson,
Your address, I'm sorry.
49 Parade Hill Road.
All right, okay.
I want to thank the Selectwoman and Tucker Murphy for facilitating this. So I don't know, are you aware of the letter that was forwarded to them?
I am.
You got a chance to read it?
I did.
Okay, our concern is with the amount of crime that it's gotten to a point where it came to a head. Our neighbors who happened to be with us, their house was broken into while they were asleep. And their personal belongings were stolen, their car was stolen. Now, 2 nights later, we had people at our house trying to get into our cars. it's almost a monthly occurrence now that we get these kids or whoever they are on camera coming to the house. Since 2001, we've had cars broken into. 2001, 2022, 21, 22, sorry, right? And another one over at Wavy, they got a window smash broken in her car.
One of our children.
Right, one of our children. And it's getting to a point where like something's got to be done because they just think they have free range. What's it gonna, is it gonna take something really bad for someone to come into somebody's house, whether they do something to someone there or the homeowner, you know, does something to them? It's ridiculous. So look, I know you're doing the best they can do, right? But when I was growing, I grew up in Stanford, right? We knew not to drive through New Canaan. You were gonna be checked or monitored. There was always a police presence. And I don't see the police presence anymore. Now, when our kids growing up knew all the officers, you know, Officer Ferranga, they knew Officer Deeks, there was a personal interaction with people that we used to see around. We don't see it anymore. And I'm just so concerned that someone is gonna get hurt. And what can we do about it?
Like a response to the letter that we drafted, did you get a chance, are you the police commissioner?
I'm the police commissioner, chairman of the
So my
commission.
name is Jane Anderson, and I would like to know what the police's response is to the letter that we drafted. For our neighbors to hear, because they were violated, someone was in their home. The police station is now on Forest Street, which
Right.
is a block away.
Right.
Their car was stolen. Is there anything on cameras from that night? Because his last known, he has a tracker on his BMW, Mr. Young. And the last known was at Locust Street, which is right where the police station is right now. So we could go on and on about all these little nuances, but we need to know from you,
Sure.
our elected officials that we trust to protect us, what your response is to our letter and what is going to be done. Because we're here to be on the record, to be on the record that this has not gotten any better. It's only gotten worse. And
We know it's not just our neighborhood either, it's all through town, you know?
Well,
Country Club Road, there was a break-in, they come home and unfortunately, she wasn't hurt bad, but they have an interaction with people who made a substantial donation, right, to the library. So, it's not there. What about the woman that was, what was it over at Silvermine? That was going back like 2 years ago, where she was during the day attacked and just about assaulted. And thank God for some good Samaritan, they thwarted the whole problem. So it's getting worse, worse and worse and worse. Now, we know there's laws being written up in Hartford that we'll hear that. Again, you'll hear, oh, well, we can't chase, right? It's a property crime. So we're not allowed to pursue, because if something happens to that vehicle, we're responsible and I'm responsible as a police officer for my job. So you hear that, right? You hear how that,
we have
They
police
know this.
officers in our family.
Okay.
We know you guys, your hands are tied, but we need to know what the plan is.
I mean, look, we have three cars on the road at night. Is that true? Is there 3 patrol officers at night on the road? And that is it?
There's four cars.
4 cars?
Yeah, minimum
I mean,
65.
your hands are tied. I don't know, all our property taxes went up, right? Substantially, 45%, 38% on another property. So I know, look, the budget, I don't know what the operating budget is. I'm not gonna sit here because I didn't research that. But we need something. You need more readers. You need more license plate readers. You need more eyes in the sky, so to speak. Because something has to be done.
All right,
They've
all
been
right,
doing this for a long
all
time.
right, let us
When
Talk
do you
down.
respond to the letter?
we've got, Andy, you want to talk about the numbers?
I can bring them up.
Right. We'll pull up, we pull up the numbers. And this is not just a New Canaan issue, all right?
Correct.
This is a-
But we live-
This is a Darien, Greenwich. Greenwich is having a horrible time right now. Darien, us, Wilton, forget, the other, Stanford and Norwalk and Bridgeport. We've had cars stolen out of driveways, cars stolen out of garages. The criminals out there are getting very, very emboldened. And that's nationwide. That's not a New Canaan issue, but let's just put it in perspective and let's look at the numbers that we've got. So
These are reported, because there's some that aren't reported.
Well, we can't answer to what's not
Reported.
reported.
This
Okay?
is- We can only deal
So
with
if you
what,
want us to answer, we're gonna answer, and these are some historical data from years out. And you can see we're trending pretty much the same as we've always have. We are upticking in some of the areas for this year to date. The good news is New Canaan is historically a safe town. We're talking about property crime. We don't have a lot of violent crime. It's a very safe community. It continues to be a very safe community. To your point, though, the criminals are getting more and more bold, and that's very concerning. And that's something that is largely attributed to decriminalization and lack of prosecution. That's something that we have to have maybe a conversation with some of our legislators at another point. That being said, we do have a lot of resources available to us, a lot of police presence, a lot of technology that we're using. We are getting more license plate readers. We currently have 10. We budgeted for 4 more this year. We have, in some of the cases that you referenced, we have collected DNA. We have rapid DNA testing available to us currently in the state of Connecticut. That's something that's new. We go to Greenwich Police Department has a machine that can test DNA, and we can get results sometimes in 90 minutes if there's a match in the system. So in the last 10 years, all of this technology has come a very long way. And our officers and our investigators are trained in those areas, respond in those areas. The other thing that we're doing too is we're doing more community outreach. We're working with developing a plan to assist people in making them less likely victims. And let's face it, we would love to have a community where we didn't have to lock our doors. We could leave our keys in our cars, but we don't have that community anymore. It's not a reality. We can't do that anymore, unfortunately. So we need people to start locking their doors, start locking their cars, not leaving their keys in their vehicles, not becoming soft and easy victims and easy targets, because that's attractive to criminals. Criminals are coming from out of town because there's easy targets here. And if people would lock their doors, lock their cars, take their keys in, put some motion lights up, put some cameras up, alarm system, have their doors locked, like we had last night. We had last night an attempted burglary that was thwarted and stopped because the homeowner had their doors locked and had their alarm set. And that allowed us to respond, and the person fled. So these things work. These protocols work, and they're effective, but we need people to start doing that. And we're here to assist people. We're going to put together some programs where we can hold some classes and some workshops where we can help people with these programs. We can do on-site personal visits to people's houses and give them recommendations of what they can do to protect themselves. And we're going to continue to pursue these crimes as best we can with the best technology that we can.
Can you be more specific about the technology, what's in the budget for AI, cameras?
Well, I just explained to you, we're adding more digital cameras. We have rapid DNA testing. We have our.
Are they going to be off from that rapid DNA testing?
We have developed some, I'm not going to talk about open cases or specific investigations. But those, yes, we had.
They're all great. I just haven't heard any more police presence about what the police presence is, if there's any of that in the agenda.
Chief, I think what is there room in the budget for more police officers to put a few more officers on at night?
Well, there's.
And this way, like,
Not right.
123, hey, there's a cop, I might not want to be over here.
Yeah.
Right?
Right now, there's not. We added more officers to our budget this year. We added 3 more officers to our complement. We went from 47 to 50 sworn officers, but that was because we had received the mandate from the Board of Education to put officers in our schools. That was a higher priority for the town. So we have now school resource officers in all of our schools.
and when school is not in session, then those officers are then available for patrol.
All right, what statistically is there more crime during the day or at night?
It's in the evening hours. It's not necessarily the overnight hours. Statistically speaking, there's more crime, then that's a big word, and that's covers a lot of territory. But statistically speaking, those occur during the evening hours and some of the overnight hours. Obviously, the cars are getting stolen in the middle of the night when people are asleep, after 10 PM, before 7 AM. So
Yeah, but you gotta feel our frustration. It's a reoccurring like occurrence.
It's
It's almost like every once a month. Hey, we're here.
They're on our property. That's
It's just.
Yeah.
that they even are allowed to walk onto our property, even though your cars are locked, your house is locked, you have an alarm system, they have all of it. And their
Right.
house was burglarized.
It's
and they were
frustrating.
sleeping.
It is.
It's
very
very
So
frustrating.
that.
we understand, and we're frustrated too. And you reference the pursuit laws. That's very frustrating to us and our officers. That's state statute. We cannot pursue. It's not that, well, it's a property crime and I might lose my job. It's state statute that says we're not allowed to pursue property crimes. It's state statute.
And
So-
part of that is, look, if it's a car and look, and you're pursuing and you run over a kid on a bike,
Right.
I mean, come on, it's a car. You can replace a car. You can't replace that kid on a bike or somebody walking on the street. We're not soft here, all right?
Yeah, but look,
Again, and to my point,
it's making it worse everywhere. I know that. I was just hoping that we'd hear, yeah, we're gonna put a stronger presence on these main arteries where these people tend to come in, so they see us at night.
Well-
Hey, we're right here. Look at me. Stop.
We
Maybe
have,
we'll think about this next time.
no, we have 10 cameras out there now where you don't know where they are, all right? We have 4 cars roaming around at a minimum, and if we have additional officers, we'll put them out there as well.
You never see police on our street,
Uh,
ever.
Okay,
Maybe you're sleeping.
yeah,
Maybe you're sleeping.
Well, no, I didn't.
I'm sorry, I'm Catherine. I also live on Parade Hill Road, and I just have a quick question. I know that some of these numbers are underreported because I didn't report something, so I'm one of those unreported numbers where our next door neighbor had their car go, they reported it, and then we just happened to be next door. My question for the community, if this would be helpful, do you want people reporting more so you have more accurate data? Would you get more resources if the community actually would start to give you more efficient numbers, with that?
yeah.
Because that
and
may
if
be a
you look
call
at
to the
these
community.
historical numbers, there's always a portion that are unreported. So
Exact-
there's nothing for us to believe that the underreporting is grown, if you will. I don't know that for certain
Yeah.
because it's not
But-
reported, but
I know like in the community, there's been a lot, it's just not on Parade Hill Road, but like if you go to New Canaan Moms and like just different places, there just is a lot of chatter about this.
yeah.
So we just don't know, like, is there an uptick or is this just traditional? So maybe a call just to the community to say, hey, please report if this actually happens.
Of course,
Might just give you
yeah,
more information. moving
And please don't take my looking at the historical data and it staying relatively constant as saying that we're in a good position. We should not accept any of it.
Right,
We should
yeah.
look for zero. And there is a concern that it is getting more and more bold and they're getting more and more aggressive. These criminals are getting more and more aggressive. Believe me, we'll recognize that. We're as frustrated with it as you are. And we don't want it to occur. It's not that we want to sit inside and wait for us to get called in the middle of the night. Our officers are out there actively patrolling the areas, patrolling the whole town. They can't just sit on the main roads. They have to patrol the whole area and respond to other calls. So, as you could hear, there's speeding concerns and all other calls that they have to respond to. Sure, I would love to have 10 officers on every night, overnight. The reality is that's not going to happen. We don't have that kind of call volume and I don't have those available resources. But, we do hear you. We do understand that there is concern. We share the same concerns and we want to work with our community again, to make us less likely targets and keep these criminals out. And it's a partnership. It can't just be the police department. It has to be all of us working together. Could you just look at the microphone?
Hi, it's Ben, my husband Elaine Young, and we live at 41 Parade Hill Road. We have the New Canaan Dance Academy on Forest Street, so a short commute to work. And we thank you for your help in the past with the issues we've had there. But this particular night was 3:30 in the morning. We have an alarm system. We now, as of today, have cameras outside as well. It was 3:30 in the morning, the alarm goes off. The alarm company didn't call. We're taking that up with them. It's a whole different situation. But bottom line, I called when the alarm stopped, and that's when the police came out. By that time, they'd taken all of our, certain belongings, ID and stuff in the house. They broke in the front, got the keys by the back door, left through the front. I was on my way downstairs. Idiot, I know, sorry. But and I said the police have been called. And at that point, I see the front door open. I hear the car, and they've taken my husband's car. So it was pretty scary. And knowing we have everything in place, the alarm company have to answer to us for that, because that was an issue they didn't call when our alarm came in.
Yeah, let's not get into specifics
exactly,
of
yeah.
your
It was
case.
just a
'cause
scary
there
incident.
were some
yeah.
unique aspects of
Right.
yours that we don't need to speak
Yeah,
publicly
okay,
about.
thank you.
That were not common with other areas. So
Right.
let's leave it at that for now.
Okay.
But we certainly understand that you do feel violated, and
Yeah.
even if they just come onto your property and go through your car, it's a
Yeah.
violation of privacy, and we understand that, and we recognize that, and we want everybody to report every incident to us so we can have an accurate
you.
accounting, and we can look at our license plate readers and see the cameras and perhaps get a license plate or some sort of identification
Right.
of the suspect vehicle. So it is vitally important that people report these crimes, no matter how seemingly small they are, or, if they just had some change taken from their car.
Right.
We still want to report it, and we still want to hear it, and we still want to look into it.
Yeah, thank you. I say we do have,
Right, and
Just talking about patrolling, just make an observation. This is purely an observation, not a criticism. Both Elaine and I, we have the utmost respect for all of you, for everything that you guys do. I'm at the studio on Forest Street early every morning, and I see the patrol pretty much every morning between 6 and 6:10 a.m. in the morning, coming down Forest Street. And I kind of just jokingly to myself saying, if I'm a crook, if I'm a thief, I see them come down pretty much the same time every morning. So I'm not going to go do anything between 6 and 6:10 in the morning. So again, this is just an observation on my side as we're talking about patrolling and making yourselves visible. I don't know if that's true that you have the same set time for every part of the town.
Without getting into too much detail.
Yeah, I don't.
We do work regular shifts, so that's likely a person from the previous shift coming in. Our department is on the corner of Forest and Locust
Right,
now, so it's probably not surprising that you see somebody around the same time. Again, it's not a great practice to be that predictable
Right.
in law enforcement, but we do have to have some predictability. We do have schedules
Yeah,
that.
that's
we
my
will
own
just- but-
observation.
But thank you for that.
The reason they've been actually stopped at the top of Forest, opposite your building now, parked there, I guess, watching for the stop signs to see if anybody's blowing through the stop signs. Before that, they're actually just, they're patrolling down Forest Street and then, making their usual routes. And again, that's just an observation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
One more question on this.
Sure.
Is there any room in the budget possibly to pay a little overtime and pick a night or two, like towards the weekends, like Thursday, Friday night, sit in an area where they've been frequenting quite a bit?
The problem
Maybe
is,
just,
yeah, my overtime budget is already through the roof. And, if it was that easy just to sit up and wait for them, we would do that already. They're not that predictable, although it feels that way. They're not. You're welcome to come out and ride along with us and tell us where to go.
I'm just talking, I'm surviving from my camera.
Yeah.
Yeah.
all right, if
Yeah.
there's an incident, if you feel as though they're coming on your property, please call us.
And we've sent you the rain tables and.
Right.
It's definitely an uptick, and again, we're just frustrated. That's why we're here, hoping something will get done. Hoping maybe there's more staff. Maybe you guys get a couple more officers at us. I don't know. We're trying, right? We're frustrated, and something bad's gonna happen, and that's what we don't want. And it's not if, it's when, the way these guys are going lately.
Something already bad happened to them, and they're sleeping in their house, and I've been here since 1991 as well, like other woman, and it's never been this bad. It's not getting better. It's getting worse. And it's not all your fault, but we're here to know what
the community is going to do, what we can do, what you can do.
Well, a lot of it, a lot of the community, a lot of what the community can do and should do is to lock their cars. They're easy targets. The reason why they keep coming here is because they keep taking cars with keys in them. For the most part, I'm sorry about your incident, but for the most part, they don't,
It's twofold. It's easy because
they're,
there's not enough patrolling.
no, it's easy because people are baiting them. They're leaving the keys in the cars. We used to leave our front doors open all the time. We had kids coming in and out of our house. We had kids, we raised kids. And yeah, I wasn't, it's what happened. We didn't even have a key for the front door. We didn't know where it was. But you don't do that anymore. We don't leave the keys we used to leave the keys on the floor of the car because then I knew where the keys were. I didn't have to search for the keys. Now we don't do that anymore either, and we lock the cars, and that's the society we're living in right now. We had the legislators in a year or so ago to explain this to them, and I was told by one of our state senators that, well, we felt there were too many people in jail, so we had to lower that's what we were told by the guys and gals who wrote the new legislation.
I understand that.
We almost, and I can go off record and tell you how I really feel, but I can't on this.
Can't do that here.
I can't do this here, but yes,
It is a shared frustration.
Right, look, again, that's why we're here, voicing our concern, hoping this will lead to something getting done.
my house on Silver Mine, our first house on Silver Mine was broken in probably 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. We were living in the city during the week and then coming out here on weekends. Broken in, they found the guys because we had lights came on and the alarm went off and they backed off, but they had kicked our front door in. They took the shoe of the guy because they caught him in Norwalk and measured it against my front door. They said, yep, that's the guys. And they were career criminals. And now then they went back into jail. They were probably paroled, a week, out on parole for a week.
Yeah.
And they were right back stealing again.
Get that.
So I've been a victim as well. Yeah, I know.
Now, one other issue, Parade Hill Road, speeding, gotta get stop signs for us, you gotta,
Okay,
it's gotten worse. We don't want the traffic to not come down because we know it's a cut through. I know you don't want traffic coming into town. You gotta slow them down. Look, my grandkid was out, my son-in-law, the nicest kid you'll ever meet, right? Was with my granddaughter and he almost got hit and
Just getting the mail out of the mailbox.
it's 25, they're doing 45, 50 miles an hour. And he was like trying to slow them down and these 2 kids decided to beat up his quarterback, which made it even worse. If we could just get stopped, not asking for anything else, give us some stop signs at rural, Parade Hill, maybe up at Riverbank, maybe up at Silvernoy and rural, slow them down, that's
And there's a
all.
new,
So-
speed light up at the top there, it's at the top.
Yeah, I think, does that register, the radar that's put out there, does that register people's speed?
Yes.
Okay, can you bring it down to where they're
So
actually gonna
it's where they
speed?
go about 50.
They're not gonna fly up the hill in the turns going up.
Yeah,
Bring it down, let them register on the straightaways, please. That's where you're gonna get the most accurate data.
Yeah.
Please do that, so it's not as skewed.
We'll relocate it.
Yeah,
They might have put it in the wrong spot.
I mean, if you're looking for a certain number, it's a great place to put it, but if you want the actual, it would really be nice to kind of put it down on both sides, you can get them coming down and going up. That's all, please, thank you.
thank you.
That's a fucking one.
Thank you.
All right, I think that's it from us.
Thank you so
Thanks for that, thank you.
Any other new business? No, we're gonna go into executive session.
Yes.
On an issue. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Good night.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, look, we're residents too.
We'll have coffee with you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You, go into executive session.
Pardon me?
Can you vote to go into that session?
I need a motion to go in executive session. Do you have one?
Yes, I do.
Second. All those in favor? Aye. We're in executive session.